Hello everyone, Siege Link here, back with the next episode of Marble League 2021. This one is, I'm not sure exactly how this event is, but it's actually a mixture between three events. There's a Marbula 1 event, which is a racing event. Then there's basically three types of racing events combined into one. One's a racetrack, one's a sand racetrack, and then one's an underwater track, so it's like swimming. And they sort of combine all of them into one. The last time they did this, it was probably one of my least favorite events. The reason for that was that the sand and the racetrack were really short and not really, they really didn't do much to change the momentum. If anything, it made it so it snowballed further for the leaders. So I'm hoping that the tracks are going to be a bit bigger, at least in some areas, or at least maybe some harder turns. It was also pretty straight last year as well. It's going to really depend on the track.
The triathlon first appeared one season ago in the 2020 Marble
Okay,
League.
so last
Back
time
then,
was
the
the
Hazers
first time.
stood atop the podium in front of Team Momo and O'Rangers. Where do they stand after this one? We'll have to see. Interesting duality
Momo
of fates
and
on
Raspberry
display
Racers
in that medal table.
Really dominating
0 medals
right
for
now.
the Minty
I think,
Maniacs.
I'm not
sitting
certain, but I
dead
think
last.
Raspberry Racers might have
0
already
medals
won
for the
league.
Thunderbolts, for instance, who sit in 4th. This goes to show you how
This one
difficult
looks okay.
the Marble League is. Hey
At least
everybody,
the sand part.
I'm Greg Woods. This is a tricky course that begins on
So
the
it's gonna
circuit
start
as the
circuit.
local youth team, the pupils, here in Felinia. They line up
This
on
looks
the
good.
top of the gate, and off they go.
Yeah,
That
this looks a
split
lot better than
right
the
off the
last
starting line. Then you have this series of corners. You have to get the line right. Right-hander coming onto the sand now. Many different pathways.
So
that
this
you
I
can
like
take
more
from the
because it's
sand. You also
actually
have to manage your
kind of
speed.
zigzag. It was kind of the same
because, as you
previously,
can
but you
tell,
couldn't
hitting
really
off those
see
walls
it all.
Makes it very difficult to keep going.
And the
Then a
entry into
drop
the water
the
is a
water
lot
when
better
you're
than last year
most
as well.
needing air. You gotta hold it and roll down to the line and come across. This one should
This
race
looks a
much
lot better
quicker
than last time.
last year's triathlon, which was event number 8 a season ago. Winning time in that one 32:42, but obviously a very different course than what we see here inside of the stadium.
It seems
As
longer.
we get ready
so
for the first run
it just
of
seemed
these
strange
games
that
in
was
the
a lot
triathlon.
quicker.
Individual marbles here.
Thunderbolts, Shock. Number 4.
Foggy, Mallard, Minty Drizzle, and Shock get underway, and it's Minty Drizzle leading through the opening corners of the track.
One thing I wish
Close
they
battle
did
there,
maybe
right
add some,
behind with Shock
like
as
the
they come
bars.
onto the sand. Those top two trying to stretch it. Foggy getting caught up on the walls and drops to last. Now Mallard moves into second place and
Green Ducks
takes the
jumped in.
lead, it appears. Streaking
it's
down to
probably,
the line,
like,
Minty
top
Drizzle
two, I
up top
assume.
is going to slow to a crawl.
What happened there at the end?
And
They slanted to the
Green
left.
Ducks representative will move on. Mallard, the captain.
What happened? They got pushed to the left. Is there
Foggy
air
from the
bubbles or
Hazers did
something? Because I
recover
remember I think they might
and
have had that
finished
last
just
year. I can't quite
3/10 of
remember.
a second back.
And we're back. I did not see that at all because it's very early on into the video. I didn't expect it that early. But back to my point. What happened at the end there for the Thunderbolts? I hope we get a replay of that because it looked almost like they
Green
got
Ducks
pushed
and
to
water.
the left. They're going straight down like this, and they were moving sideways. It didn't seem to make much sense. I know. I would think in the last time they did one of the water events, they had those things in pools where there's water pushing out, or you see it, or around the steps in the pool. They had that near the sides, I think, one of them, but even then it wasn't that powerful. So it would seem strange if they had that, and it didn't even look like they did. So I'm confused on how that happened to Shock. One way or another, let's move into the next one with Frost going up against 3 big heavy hitters. I do not feel confident in my boy here. He's going up against some really
rapidly in the
heavy
meantime,
hitting
competing in
teams.
the first individual
The
event.
top 2 teams, and then Savage
Bay
Beats.
Grand Prix, where they
Well, he's
podium.
pretty solid
along
lead
with
initially.
Razzie.
He needs
It's
that.
a 3-marble battle for second place right now.
Come on,
And streaking
Frost.
off into the distance is Frost from the
Not the
Gliding
best bump.
Glaciers. Momo closes up. Oh, and look at this.
Here
A
comes Savage
big
Speeders.
switch coming down the sand. Rapidly has the lead.
Glide
They
on
drop
down.
halfway
Glide
through
on
the
down.
water portion. A little bit left to go.
He's got it.
And rapidly holds on. Gets caught up with the line there.
The big lead at the
Frost
start was
will
enough to
take
hold it.
second and advance out of this second heat. Captain for Team Momo coming in last
The top
there.
two teams are
a little
out.
surprising for a team that has been on a tear
Top
of
tiers.
late. Glimmer from the Shining
The
Swarm.
only reason that
You'll
I've
notice
put them
a
as kind of
newcomer,
like my fourth
and
team in a
off
way
we
is
go
because just
down
because
the
they're
circuit.
I'm rooting
Coco
for
from
the Thunderbolts and
Chocolatiers
the
had the
rookies.
lead until a strong wall hit gave it to Glimmer of the Shining Swarm. They trade back and forth coming down the sand, and a big gap back that is closing as I
Shining Swarm
say
went
that
straight
from
through that.
Origin of the O'Rangers, who drops into second place, drafting in the water, moves to the right side, has the lead back to the left, slowing down. It's going to be a photo finish, not that it will matter, because the top two
Same
will
thing happened with the
advance.
Rangers a little bit there.
Glimmer
Not as bad as the
officially
Thunderbolts,
gets the
but
win between the two
you
of
could
them.
see them. They got kind of
Origin,
stuck on the wall
a
almost.
10th behind,
Almost kind of happened to
and a
Chocolatiers as
second
well.
back to the rest of the field.
Strange.
Glimmer, that's a strong debut.
All right, here we go.
Now, coming up
Rojo
here,
Trace.
Limers, Cat's Eyes, Indigo Stars, and the Rojo Rollers are away, and it's
Why
Guline
did it look so
holding
dark
the
on
lead
the right
for the first
Blue Eye?
left-hander. Really close draft back behind there for Blue Eye from Crazy Cat's Eyes and
Can't get
Bingo
around
from
there.
Indigo Stars.
Rojo Trace
Switching
got
back
around
and
one.
forth there with the Rojo Rollers. That's Rojo Trace.
Come on!
A clear lead for the Limers as they drop
That's
into
got
the
to be a
water. They
restart.
will advance,
They
but the battle is
bumped
for
him out.
second place.
They
Who will
bumped
have
him
it?
out.
Oh, that's
You
going
can
to
hear
be
the
close,
boost
but
from
the
the crowd.
Crazy Cat's Eyes.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
yeah,
very
hold on a
obvious
second.
that they bumped him out.
Being told
Look at
that
this.
there is an
Look at that.
incident.
Punched him right
Look
out.
at that.
That's a
Rojo
restart.
Rollers got stranded on the sand. The stewards are investigating. The referee's going over and having a discussion.
Yeah.
Lots of discussion here.
So you're going to get
happen.
disqualified? Yep.
Oh, and look at this. Blue Eye has been disqualified
You
for
can tell
pushing
in the
Rojo
replay, he
Trace
punched him
off
out.
the course. The Crazy Cat's Eyes fans don't like this at all. This is a furor developing in the stadium. We've had limited replays thus far, but Crazy Cat's Eyes will finish dead last and get 0 points out of this one if the result stands. It says current results. I'm not sure if those are official yet or if we are going to have an appeal or anything of the sort. In the meantime, we will move on to the semifinals. I guess once those go along, there's not much that Crazy Cat's Eyes can do. Bingo, Frost, Glimmer,
Thunderbolts
the captain of
and
the Green Ducks
Rojo
Ballard
Rollers
are away, and it's the captain that holds a
Flying Nation's got
5-10
kinda stuck
length
in between the
lead
three there.
through the first few turns.
Pass one.
The Green Ducks were strongest in the water,
They need
and
a
they
good
hope to finish in the
entry.
top two here, but they have to navigate through the sand first. Gliding Glaciers fall all the
Bumped too
way to
much.
dead last.
Especially
Good
in the last
recovery
one.
here for the
Ooh,
Ducks,
good
who
entry,
also
though.
lost the lead, and they hold it down the stretch.
Another
But
team.
this is
They're
a
getting, people are getting stuck
three-marble
on the left
race.
wall too much.
They will be passed at the line by Glimmer from the Shining Swarm. The debutante continues
All my teams
a
are getting
strong
stuck
run,
on the left wall.
and Mallard does advance by about 2/10 in front of Bingo. And the Indigo Stars, it came down that close. I'm not sure the Shining Swarm were expecting to be in this position.
More big
Blue
heavy
Line
hitters
rapidly.
here.
Foggy and Orange, no captains this time. As we swing around with Foggy in the lead, losing it to the Savage Speeders rapidly. This right-hander sets you up very well for the sand, or can set you up pretty poorly. Orangin comes up into second place, fights for the lead. A bump. They go into the water
Limers
side
had,
by
everyone
side.
had a good entry. Wow.
We need a better view than this. At the finish line, everybody's right there and rapidly will
I
pip
think Hazer's
everyone.
got a second.
Foggy will advance, but
Look at that,
4
that's-
hundredths between transferring. Guline just misses out.
That's a half a second between everyone.
Leads
that's
changing by
insanely
the
close.
second here. People gathered around the water cooler are going to have plenty to talk about. Bingo from the Indigo Stars just
And they
misses
got
out
eighth.
on the top 4. Still gets good 11 points out of it.
Not even six.
Guline in
for
6th,
Gliding Glaciers.
Orangin, the Rangers in 7th, and Frost.
Thunderbolts
in
11th,
8th.
and Rojo Trace
Among
got
those who
punched
did not
out
survive
and unfortunately didn't get a
semifinal.
restart. I think my
4
part of
have
that might be
advanced,
due to the
though.
fact that the other guy
One will not
disqualified, so
medal.
it'd be 3 people, and it's kind of
Where will
off
the others
as a
shake
result.
out? It's time to go for gold in the triathlon. And we're rolling. Lead changes several times right out of the gate with Foggy, stretching it a
Shining
huge
Swarm
margin
got hit
over
massively
Mallard.
there.
The captain of the Green Ducks is closing up corner by corner as they enter the sand. Rapidly was strong here last time and starts to
Good for the
reel them
Green
in
Ducks.
ever so slightly. The Green Ducks into the water first, but slow down.
Hazer's
Rapidly
good entry.
and Foggy are right there beside him and passing them. Foggy trying to hold on, drifting to the near side.
Again.
And I don't think they held on. Rapidly may have
That's one thing
stolen
that this
gold.
course did not do right, is that there's too much...
Rapidly gets it by 9
People have been drifting to the
of a
sides
second.
too much in this course.
Gold for the Savage Speeders, silver, and maybe a mild heartbreak for the Green Ducks. And Foggy from the Hazers captures bronze. So many water events that we have seen come right down to the very last roll, and this was no exception. Foggy had entered the water looking so strong.
So two of my teams didn't do well, and one team just got
down
cheated
the middle.
out, quite frankly.
A lot of lateral movement.
That was so much
off at
BS.
the end. And actually took that perfect line down the middle. The Green Ducks trying to pull a draft off of them as best they could. And
Crazy Cat's Eye was like one of the few
the Savage Speeders who finished
big
seventh
big teams, kind of like Savage Speeders and
this
Rangers, but
event
they were a team that I
last
kind of
season.
liked that did well. Now
several
they're my
better.
most hated team. I am not tolerating that for one
the gold
second.
glimmer
It's
from the
very
shining
clear
swarm.
that you punched
Making
them
a
out.
debut, and I guess feast or famine in that one. The best time and the worst time of the lot, all going to that same marble. Savage Speeders, first team to win 2 golds this season. Rapidly, that is the 4th gold of their career. Green Ducks.
Alright, so yep, Thunderbolts jumped down pretty heavily. Gliding Glaciers were up 1. A little surprising. Oh, okay, Crazy Cat's Eye went below them. That makes sense, after disqualifying. And sadly, Rojo Rollers did not get to restart after being kind of cheated out. And it's kind of surprising. If it's clear that you disqualified them, why would you still let them DNF and not give them an extra chance? The only thing I can think of is that it would be 3 people restarting rather than 4, but it still would make sense to do that in my mind. Green Ducks jumped up. That's a team I didn't expect to do. I expected them like 12th or so, like low but not bottom, maybe even bottom. So that's pretty good. Hazers are back up. Thunderbolts are still in contention. Keep in mind, they've not won a single medal yet. In fact, they're tied with the Rangers, tied for 6, and they're 1 point beneath Hazers and a little bit below Green Ducks. It's just that the top 3 teams are all in the hundreds, and Savage Spears at 105 compared to Green Ducks, one below them at 87. So the gap there is getting a bit too big. That's the worrisome part. Rojo Rollers, I mean, they're pretty much out of it, but like that last of this event, they should have gotten a restart. They should have gotten a restart after you disqualified the other one. Just saying. Gliding Glaciers, they've gotten some bronze. If they can get like a gold in the next event, then they could start on the way to make a little bit of a comeback, because there's still quite a few events left. But they're going to have to do super well near the end of it. And they've done pretty consistently, similar to Thunderbolts. The thing is, with Thunderbolts have been overall better consistent, but Gliding Glaciers have gotten bronze twice, but have gotten a few bad finishes. Like, this is probably one of Thunderbolts' worst finishes, and even then, that was like, let me go back a second. I think, what position did they get here? Yeah, 11th. That's probably one of their worst spots, and that's 11th compared to, that's not even bottom 5. Although, to be fair, 1 DNF'd and 1 got disqualified, so. DNF, for those of you who don't know, means did not finish. For the longest time, I did not know what that meant. But, yeah, my teams aren't looking too hot now. The last few events have been rough for them. They looked really good, like a good 4 or 5 events ago. But that's not the biggest thing I'm worried about. The biggest thing I'm worried about is the gap between 105 and 87. The gap between those top 3, especially Raspberry and Team Momo. Like, look at that, 117 compared to the bottom team's 42. That's a big gap. I mean, at this point, Rojo Rollers, they get gold every event. They get gold every event. They could win it. I'm not even sure if they could win it, to be honest, because they would. Yeah, if they got gold every event, they would get like maybe 3rd. So yeah, they're pretty much out of it. Gliding Glaciers, if Gliding Glaciers or Thunderbolts get like a couple of golds, they could definitely do well though. So that'll be it for this episode. My teams aren't doing the best, but I still got high hopes for them. They just need to get some solid silver or gold finishes. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.